Okay, we're here for our 7th grade PLC meeting, and today we're going to discuss the assessment for the semester final, as well as the review, and some of the activities that the kids are going to be doing this week and next week. And if you would, Miss Lannery, make sure like 10 minutes before the meeting's over, you let us know so we stay on track. And
Yes.
Miss Alford, you're going to take notes and go through the agenda for us.
Okay, perfect. And I'll start with the agenda. So we've got 3 things. One is to start with the discussion for the lesson for this week and next. And then we'll talk about final exams. And if we have time, we might be able to hit the differentiation piece. And if not, we'll get back together.
Perfect.
And so do you want to start with where you are, and then I'll talk about where we are in the lesson now.
Yeah, so we are working on the 3.9 standard where we're analyzing 2 or more authors that are writing about the same topic. And with that, I formatted like my notes and things like around the essential questions that are leveled questions.
That's okay.
Okay, so all of the notes that they went through this week were formatted around like in levels so that they knew for sure that they were working their way up to a level 5 response, and that level 5 questioning was their writing assignment that they completed today in class. So that is what we are working on. So they were assessed today on that standard. And I will know either this evening or tomorrow night whether or not I need to do any reteaching on that
So
particular
you're going to be
standard.
looking at those tonight
Yes.
to kind of see where they're going from there.
Yes, I will be, someone just brought in theirs. So I will be going over those and looking at their responses to those level
Can I,
level
you
5
mind if I see
questions.
that?
Yeah,
Thank you so
absolutely.
much. You're welcome.
And we are right behind you. And so we'll be finishing ours. We might be finishing the tail end of it Monday.
Mhm.
We may get to it Friday, but definitely by Monday. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's
you're-
basically it for where I'm at with that standard. So, just if I need to reteach tomorrow, they're definitely gonna have extra practice tomorrow. They're gonna be doing a study island assessment tomorrow on that standard. And then if I need to do any additional reteaching, that'll be taking place on Friday, as well as getting started on their study guides for these semesters.
Okay, so we're in the same place. We're on the exact same standard. We're just slightly behind, so a few days. And we're gonna do the same thing. I wanted to kind of go through this really fast because I love what you made that we're using, the comparing 2 authors. And I'm gonna go to that 3rd page. And I just wanted to walk through this again to make sure that we've got it.
Mhm.
So, so the first question, what subject and topic is being presented in truth and Malala speeches, that's level 1.
Okay,
Yes.
can I ask for a minute?
Yes.
We are going over the review, we're going over the exam, we're going over an activity. What is this?
So we're still in the activity for the
So-
lesson for this week, and what we wanna hit is, what do we want the students to learn? Did we hit all of the levels of questioning, and how are we gonna assess it?
And this activity takes place over, 1 day, 2 days?
So
We've
definitely
been
3 or
covering
4.
this, I do a lesson, like a whole lesson a week, and do like a standard,
Okay,
and do that whole standard a week,
okay,
for a week.
okay.
So she will be finished by Friday and her reteaching by Friday, and I will be finished by Monday.
Okay,
So, okay, so in the first, so we know that we're teaching the standard comparing the 2 authors, and we know that we know the text that we're reading, that we've got the 2 speeches, which I'm just a little teeny bit behind you on that one. And then, when we're assessing them, the level 1 question was what subject and topic is being presented in both of their speeches.
Right.
And then level 2, comparing and contrasting, the 2, what is the author's main claim and argument?
Right.
And so level 3, is that
That-
level 2 or level 3?
The claim
I think
and
it's
the
3.
argument, that is technically level 3 because the levels start, like the ALDs start at 2 for some reason.
Right.
So technically the what subject and topic is being presented, that's a level 2 question. And then the asking about the claims and then the reasons and the evidence, that is going to be your level 3 questions, as well as examples of logos, because that's just a fancy way of saying what facts and statistics and logic is being presented in both of the speeches. That's also your level 3 questions, and then we go into that level 4 question of how effective is that use of logos for the intended audience and the purpose for that particular speech.
Now, do you get through like all the way to level 4 by the end of the week?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then do the kids know that, you know, where they are in the standard that is expected?
Yes, so we've got this, which pulls them through the levels. I might make mine a little smaller for them, but you can see the differences in yellow.
Sure.
And the reason I asked, thank you so much, I labeled mine wrong, and I thought, wait a minute, that's not those, thank you for clearing that up.
No, you're fine.
So level 2, they're here, they're just comparing and contrasting. I'm gonna clean this up using different evidence, but that part is where my group's gonna trace, which you've already done in your
Right.
packet. So we're tracing the arguments in both.
The only
I
thing.
always,
Go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. I always like make a level 1
Mhm.
like thing where that is like their notes. That's where we're
what we did
defining the
today.
concepts.
Yeah.
So like basically page 3 of the packet is your level 1 where we're defining everything and making sure that we know what is a counter argument, what is a rhetorical appeal, what's pathos, logos, ethos, that stuff, and then we move straight into our level 2, 3, and 4. So they know that they're moving with each level as we go through a lesson.
Oh, awesome.
And one of the things I'm thinking about is you're saying that and you're telling me how you're presenting that, as long as it's consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
the kids are looking at the rubrics the same, and I don't want somebody having a 1 and somebody else starting at a 2.
No.
Just as
Right.
long as, you know, this is all consistently, you know, 1 through
Yes.
4, 1 through 5.
And we
Good? Is
planned it
that-
out before we did it, but this is, yes, exactly.
Okay.
And we're at the same thing, so today they're getting their definitions, and then we've got the rhetorical appeal definitions in there, so
Yes.
we're pulling it out
Awesome.
of the book right now, and I'm gonna go back to this. But by the time they get to 5, so we were gonna look at the level 5 in just a second because we know that we're gonna get to 4, and I know that we don't have a lot of time, so I don't wanna keep us too long on the lesson, cause I know we have to discuss final exams, but level 4 was how effective is the author's use of logos for the purpose and intended audience in her speech, and then, we're back to level 3 and level 4 on this page, but I wanted to go to the last page, which is the assessment.
Right, and that's your level 5 question.
That's our level 5. Okay, so comparing to the 2 speeches, which author is more effective in presenting facts, details, and information on the shared topic? And that's exactly the same. We're on the same page with our learning target. So if I go back to our questions, we know that we want them to learn the basic terms, pathos, logos, and ethos. We want them to be able to trace an argument. And then we need them to compare the 2 authors' arguments. And how are we gonna know that they learned it? They're gonna both give us the same writing piece.
Yes.
And then, when they don't learn it, just for a second, what did you have planned? And I know what we had talked about before.
I had the like Friday and maybe like a little bit of time on Monday as well for just a small group just reviewing with those like individuals that do have trouble with it. And I did do like an exit ticket type assessment on Monday whenever we took our notes, just asking like, hey, tell me something that you learned today, tell me one concern or question that you have about the lesson. So I went through those as well, and I was able to address that yesterday whenever we actually started our applying that standard to the texts. So I kind of just been doing a little bit of review and reteaching throughout and just getting that really quick assessment like on the spot. But I will know for sure whenever I start grading these assessments here what I need to specifically like focus on and target, especially because we are going into the semester exam and this will be on their test.
Right.
Okay, one of the things I'm thinking of, she's gonna have a little bit more time because she's gonna get to this by Friday.
Right.
But when you start to pull those small groups, and I would, and you're probably already thinking about this, but like if there's like someone's not citing evidence, pull those kids together, and so you're teaching that one part of the standard
Right.
that you have that one group of kids that same standard.
Right.
So not just one at a time, and that way you're hitting.
Exactly,
more
and it
kids.
does end up like I'll have like 3 or 4 kids in a class and they all just just so
That
happen
same
to
thing.
forget the in-text citation. And I'm like, where's the author's last name? Why are we citing where we're getting our evidence from? And it takes them like, it's quick that they
When they
pick
get
it
it.
up, and there's like, oh my gosh, I forgot. I'm like, we can't forget on the FSA. They don't care if you forgot, they're just gonna mark it wrong.
Awesome. I
But
love
yeah,
it.
I will be able to get that redirection in small group, and then I'm gonna be able to deal with that on Friday and a little bit on Monday if needed.
Okay, we talked about peer editing, having some of the I know we talked before about having some of the highs that already have it, mentoring some of the ones that are missing it,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can be a mentor for their peer edit. But I know that we wanted to get to level 5 and the differences just quick, and I know I've got to be cognizant of the time, so we only have a couple minutes. But the difference between 5 and 4 was
Is just
yeah.
the strength of your evidence that you are providing. So that is why I said like provide multiple examples of strong evidence
Okay.
for your level 5s, 5 questioning. And I don't mention that specifically in the prompt, but I know that that's how I will like specifically be able to tell for myself like where are my 4s and my 5s, who's providing me like the strong evidence and the evidence that's just like they just picked the most basic sentence.
And once you see that too, on Monday,
Mhm.
I would put up, an exemplar
Right.
example and say, oh, this is a level 5. If you want to say the student's name, fine. If not, a lot of times even those high students don't want to be recognized.
Right.
But this is an exemplar. This is what I'm looking for. Great job, and let's move on. And that's when and then they can relate to that when you pull them in small groups when they're
Yes.
missing something.
And they definitely benefit from those models.
Yes.
So I do that sometimes whenever I find like one that is like really like neatly written, and I'm just like, hey, this one's really good. But it's hard because I've been doing a lot of handwritten assignments because I don't trust them on their computers, but their handwriting's not great.
It's harder
Yeah.
to grade, isn't
It's
it?
harder to
It's
read
harder
it.
to read it, but they have really good responses. So
Well, and I love that, because we've used exemplar text before, and I'm glad to have the reminder, because that'll be a good piece that we can pull out on Friday and Monday for me, is to look at those exemplar texts, and I'm gonna put
Yes.
Friday or Monday.
especially whenever we're like reviewing like other standards for the exam, especially like in terms of like writing the essay questions or like written responses for the semester exam, that'll be a good thing to kind of review like, hey, this particular standard, you may see this as a written response question. This is a really good example of it.
And look what they did with, I love that you pointed out the evidence that how the evidence was above and beyond. It was more thorough, and they had enough examples, so I wanted to put that.
And I think it's great, you guys have come up with an activity for that level 5. Because a lot of times, you say, okay, this is a level 5, this is what I'm looking for, but there's not an activity attached to it, so this is great. Let's move on to
Yes.
We have about 10 minutes.
Okay, so we need to go quickly. So we wanted to talk about a final exam. And by the way, we were thinking earlier that if we did have time, that if we were working in small groups, that we might have the level 5s pull in a third comparison on their own, see if they
Okay.
could find something.
Third text.
But
Okay.
but I just with time.
That's good, that's very complicated, so that's great.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so we'll see if we have time.
It's
but if
definitely a
not,
higher level, so that's good.
which is, so we're so thankful for that. But then discussing the final exam, so we know that we're using the test from Springboard.
Awesome.
We may have to use some tweaks, and we've covered everything. I know you covered all of your standards you said last time. I've covered everything but tone. And what standard are you gonna hit? The study guide is fantastic, so thank you for that one. I'm
welcome,
definitely
you're
using that. And I'm gonna push that out this week. Are you pushing yours out?
Yes, they're
Tomorrow or
getting
Friday?
it. I would like
Friday.
for them to get it Friday, but if I can get the copies done,
Yeah.
I can get them out tomorrow. But like it has all of the key concepts and key terms for each standard, and then I gave them examples of like what the questions they might see on the exam, what they might look like, and they have to explain to me like what is this asking you to do, because a lot of my kids, I give them those FSA style questions and they're like, Miss Landry, when you explain it to me, it makes so much sense, but when I'm reading it, I'm just like, I feel like an idiot, so I want them to tell me, what am I asking you to do? whenever you see a question like this, what are you being asked to do? Because whenever they break it down and scaffold that question themselves, or if I scaffold it for them, they got it. It's
Right.
good, but they have trouble discerning like some of the words and like the way that the questions are formatted. They're just like, I don't know, you lost me.
I love that you put those in there, because I think it's really gonna help them. And, I know that I've gotta take out they could do tone, but I don't wanna trip them up, so.
You don't have to
gonna
rush
push-
that.
Yeah, I'm gonna push that when we come back, that's gonna, although we will hit it with this, tomorrow.
I think that's the thing that I drilled the most.
Yeah, you guys did.
Because I
Super
drilled
job.
it with author's purpose, I drilled it with
Mhm.
figurative language, we did figurative language in fiction and nonfiction. And then I drilled it last week when we were comparing text and multimedia. And then I think we drilled it this week with the pathos and just like, well, her speech had a different tone because she used more pathos than this one because she had more facts and statistics. And it was more formal and informative, and she was giving an acceptance speech, and this one she was just literally having a conversation. She didn't even write the speech before she did it. She just went up there and started talking, and I was like, exactly, thank you, write that down.
Yeah. You've got tone.
Which is a good reminder to me that I can give them a simplified version of that, but I know that when we go back through poetry again, we're gonna pull
Mhm.
those back out.
Now,
Okay.
when we had when Miss Martin was here, we talked about creating that final.
Mhm.
Yes.
That, that you had an advanced, cause you have mostly advanced classes.
Mhm.
I think one regular class.
Yes.
So we have that advanced class, and then you're going to take that test
Right.
and then create,
sure.
right, create it for the regular ed class. And how are you doing that? What's the difference?
Honestly, they're so similar. I think there'll only be maybe 5 questions here or there that she might add in versus me taking away.
Or I think
Yeah.
the thing that's going to discern my advanced like test from the core test that I have here is going to be the written responses.
Okay,
Because that's
Perfect.
where they're actually analyzing and evaluating, and they're doing those level 4 and level 5 questions, and that's easier for me to assess when it is written response.
gotcha.
So I think that's what.
Does that mean we have 5 minutes left?
Yes.
Yes, that is what that means.
A little bell went off.
A little extra help, thanks.
What did
But,
they give us for the writing piece? Oh, that's what I was trying to
I
look at.
didn't look at theirs, if I'm honest. I forgot that it existed
We
because I
saw
was
it
just.
So you took the multiple choice.
Yes, there was
from-
4 parts of it. There was a unit 1 part 1, and a unit 1 part 2, and then a unit 2 part 1, and a unit 2 part 2. So I printed all of those questions out, but I did not print the open response yet.
Have they seen these before?
No, they have not.
No, these are brand new texts, and when we planned out the unit at the beginning, we sat down at the unit 2, and we took the test, and we took the unit, and we took the standards, and we made sure that everything that we would do would cover so that we could end here.
Perfect.
I'm tempted, I've gotta look at how hard the writing is. It's like you said the other day, it's not that long. Do mine need an extra minute to read? Do they need a preview? But it's not fair enough if they get a preview, so I've gotta think about it. I'm really weighing that out between today and tomorrow
Okay.
of whether or not they need, these are the texts that you will be seeing, or all of them be a surprise, or they're all a surprise except these 2, you know.
Well, why don't, you work on that, and then once you come by the office, and then we can look at it together and make sure, kinda go
Yeah.
through and that you're comfortable with that. And then, as we leave this meeting, you're going to get together, you have your core test,
Mm-hmm.
and you have your review, and then you're sharing that with her?
Yes.
Okay.
Got
Yes.
the same.
And I think I know for sure that the text structure with the poetry, I know you didn't get to that.
Right.
And that's not even mentioned on here. They focus on text structure in terms of nonfiction. So they did so much work with our sonnets. That's going to be one of their
Right.
open response questions because they loved the pop sonnet activity that I did with them. So they're definitely going to be seeing that again, and that was something that they did for the first.
Right, I remember.
And
First
we're
quarter
hitting
one?
it 3rd.
Yeah, so they're
Which
gonna.
falls.
That's gonna be one of my advanced kids' short responses.
Perfect.
And then I really need to drill them more on the evaluating and citing sources.
And last thing I'd like to just touch base with, you're gonna be reviewing, how are you going to be doing the review sheets? What is that gonna look like next week?
So they're getting this study guide on Friday, and
Okay.
they are supposed to complete as much of it in class. Whatever they don't get done, they need to finish it over the weekend, because on that Monday and Tuesday, we're going to be focusing on specific standards and recovering those, because I want to go over theme again and the tracing and evaluating sources and arguments and stuff. And then I was going to make maybe either like a hot seat activity or like a bingo or a Jeopardy. I have a few like templates that I started that I haven't decided which one might be like
Gotcha.
less chaotic for a specific group. I feel like bingo would be quiet
I need
and
to
like
make a
more
bingo.
controlled.
Yeah,
So
I'll tell you about that.
that's just something that I definitely am going to be.
Okay. And you guys kind of do this, I know you have different styles of teaching, but are you guys gonna kind of use the same?
Oh, we trade back and forth.
Oh,
We're
yes.
so thankful. Like
We've-
up the mountain
We have been
together.
collaborating so much more this year, and I'm shocked because I don't know where I have the time, but we've been like talking. We talk almost every single day, just like,
Yeah.
hey, what are you doing?
Awesome.
How's it
Awesome.
going? What are you
Alright.
doing? So
And Kristen's really great with the graphic organizers. I did want to say, one of my students wants me to do a bingo, and he has made me a little bingo card to fill in.
Aw.
So I have to fit in bingo somewhere. So when I get it done, I'll let you know.
okay.
And I'm going to do GimKit reviews. They love them, and
Okay.
they're super, super fun.
Yeah, I think GimCat. I'm gonna do that on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kristen introduced me to GimKit, and it is just the best.
Okay,
So.
good.
They love that one. They love that one. But I'm gonna wait for that one on Wednesday, because that one they like it, but that's like one that like once they start answering the questions, they just race through it, and I'm like, you're not really paying attention to what you're doing. You're just clicking, and they're like, yeah, but I know it. I know. I answered this question 10 times already. I just want the money. So that's gonna be like the last day of review type
Okay.
thing
That'll
for
be the
me.
fun.
Yeah.
And the last thing, just, recap, you're gonna, create your short responses,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
you're gonna get both of you are gonna get the review in,
Yes.
as well as the test into me,
Yes.
by the end of the week.
Yes, and I will be sending over my study guide to you as soon as I get back into my room, because I have it. I just didn't
Okay,
send
no
it.
Yeah.
worries.
And we're using the same study guide. I'm going to modify it, and I'll send you the modified version hopefully before Friday.
And then essentially same exact test, except my short answers are gonna be different than hers.
Have they seen the springboard type of questions before?
I've
Yes.
made my
Okay,
own
good.
based off of those.
Okay.
Before,
Alright.
yes.
Hers are a little, and she's got some really great complex ones, but both of us have used the quizzes that Springboard gives for each one of the sessions. And
Super.
so they've been exposed to those, and
Yes.
plus the questions in the book.
Okay.
We always use those.
I might be making my stuff too hard.
Yours is a little more complicated.
I told Miss Martin, I was like, I gave her an example of like one of my questions. She was like, that's very rigorous. I was like, is that not what I'm? That's when I looked at the question stems. That was a level 4 question, and I asked them, and they got it right.
Yay!
Good for
So
them.
I mean, I think that's
Hey, we're gonna celebrate. Hey, let's raise that standard.
Yes.
That's right.
And
Those
all-
expectations.
you shared this with me, and then I put it in the colors, so I'm gonna share it back with you.
Okay,
So, and I
perfect.
will
And I
post
think
it.
that's great, the way you show that, the differences with the kids, and see where the difference is from
Yes.
level
I
to
always
level.
include that
That's
in their PowerPoints
I
as
like
well.
I like that.
Yeah,
And then
she's
they
always got
see
it.
like exactly like how we're progressing through each level as we are taking notes and as we are applying that standard to the text. 'Cause that's just something that I try to like give more prominence to than actually like, what are we reading? What's
Right.
this text about? No, how are you applying this standard
To
to
the
that
text.
text?
So
So
good.
I don't know, I'm just drill that way more.
And I'll write up our notes
Okay.
and send them out. I usually use the form that he gives us whenever we meet, so I'll
Well,
make sense
ladies,
of my mush.
as always, this has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
And that's time.
Yes, excellent. I know, I'm gonna go get ready for my